Yeah, speaking of interesting projects, Women of Mystery. That was just randomly recommended to me by Instagram. It's like, oh, you should check out this page, and then and it said that a couple of Kutztown people followed it, so I checked it out, and I was like, oh man, this is some really impressive photography. And then I saw that you were running it, and so I mean, yeah, just tell us a little bit about Women of Mystery, how you started all that.
Okay, so I started Women in Mystery because I wanted to create a platform that had a more like one had like a more defined target audience for like the content in it, and I also wanted to create a platform where women creatives women creatives could share their work, collaborate with me. We could learn from each other, and just kind of like we were talking about earlier, like how important connections are.
Mm-hmm.
Just basically create connections with models and influencers and other. I've been working with other photographers too.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, not recently since this pandemic, but
Right, right.
I've been working with like aspiring photographers. I've been helping people out. Your podcast has reached out to me. A couple others have reached out to me also.
Hmm.
But I've really just created it to the ultimate goal is to like have a great amount of following and use the platform to promote female artists. That's the end goal.
Hmm.
Um, so, but also, obviously I support, like, just because I have a woman of mystery doesn't mean I want to like put that out there. Doesn't mean I don't support, men of mystery, or, like men who are in the industry and anything like that. I just wanted to like, I'm a woman in the industry. There's a lot of like female models who are uncomfortable working with some male photographers, like, if they want to do something.
Right.
Um, and I love to help people with that, and I love to make women look and feel beautiful.
Yeah, and I definitely say that you did a great job of it because every single time I see one of the posts, I'm like, oh wow, that's some really amazing work.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Like
Of course,
that means so much to me.
of course, yeah. And I mean, I think the fact that you had so many followers and how long ago since well, bleh, that was bad English. How how long ago did you start up the account? Because it's gotten a pretty decent amount of followers, I'd say.
Yeah, so I started the account, I believe, like in the beginning of February.
Hmm.
February. So it's been about 2 months, less than 2 months, because it's only like halfway through April.
Yeah,
And I have a little bit of over 100 followers. I'm almost at 200, I think. I'm at like 167.
close to it. Yeah.
Yeah, close to it. But yeah, I've been getting a lot more traction. I've been doing these edits that are kind of like groovy, like fantasy, dreamy, fairy tale edits, and I've been also like offering to sell those and those edits for just $5.
Hmm.
I definitely a lot of people have been like, why aren't you, selling it for more? But I'm just doing this like I'm starting out too. Like I'm not a graphic designer or anything, but I'm trying to like push myself like as a creative and kind of just see where I can like learn more.
Yeah. And it's like you said, it's like having bringing that many people together to share tips and tricks and like talk about their experiences and share some of the work they're proud of is definitely the perfect way to go about doing that, I think.
Absolutely. Like even after I posted like my first like photo collage that I made, and I had like two other people in my DM saying, "Hey, this is like really good. Like what do you use? Like this is what I use." And we were just like, went back and forth, and they were just telling me like apps that they use that were like helpful to them that kind of made their editing process more like made the editing process easier and quicker.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'm at first, I was a little bit kind of timid about it because I do have another production page, my Girardi Productions page,
Hmm.
which is a more of kind of like I would say like my startup page. Like if you go all the way back, like it's like overly saturated edits and like
Hmm.
just like it definitely shows like growth on that page. But I wanted like a clean slate. This has more of direction. This has more of kind of just like I have more ideas like to fuel it, and there's more direction for it, and I'm like very confident about it. Like I just feel like it's going well, and even if the following gets slowed down or whatever, and even during this stuff right now, I'm just kind of trying to use it as to better myself as a creative, as a photographer, and just
Yeah,
help other females and women out too, and like even like this, like going on your podcast and like talking about it and like helping you, like that's awesome. Like you're helping me. It's a mutual beneficial relationship.
of course, yeah, and it's definitely that's the just keeps reiterating that point that we're making. It's all about connections and getting other people's names out there and helping each other thrive.
Absolutely. You can always learn from like anyone, and that's kind of, in like our climate and like society of like social media can be so saturated, and we see like all the same stuff all the time. I thought it would kind of be a fresher idea to create a platform like that rather than, I don't know, something random that you always see on your Instagram, like a meme page or something.
Right? Yeah, that's more genuine.
Yeah.
So through the title "Women of Mystery," we keep on saying it's promoting women contacting other women and collaborating and that whole environment. And we also talked earlier about like the uh, sort of different ratio between men who want to be involved and women who want to be involved in this line of work.
Yeah.
We touched on it a little bit back in episode 4, I want to say, when episode 4 when we had Heather Hamilton on. We talked about women in film and the sort of I don't maybe well, I guess injustices is a good word, but like sort of just on a general level, like the kind of lack of representation. So I think one of the good things about having that page is that it's like you said, it promote it's like it says, hey, we're here and we're just as good at this as you, and it kind of does it in a very like I think a lot of rhetoric is like hey, we're just as good. It's very kind of like angry, you know what I mean? But like
Hmm.
your page is very like, hey, look, check us out. We're here too, and we're open to collaborate and we're open to help each other out. And I think that's a very good good way of approaching it. So I guess a very long winded way of, of getting to the next point. But I guess what is your stance on like the whole representation issue as it stands today?
Um, I understand what you're saying about um, what you said about like coming off as like aggressive, some pages that are like female oriented or like a little bit radical, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um,
And it's definitely like that on both sides. I find. I think the unfortunate thing is that the more loud, angry people are the people who generally get the spotlight. That you see all
yeah,
the time. People, but you see like people all the time being like, "Oh man, women aren't as good as men," and then the women being like, "No, we're just as good as you." Like, but then it completely ignores the moments like this where it's like, hey, we're here and we're not here to exclude anyone. We're here to just show you we're capable. We're like,
absolutely.
yeah.
Exactly what you're saying is inclusion. I think that is something that I'm really like striving for, I
Hmm.
feel like just being a female photographer, I myself, the only type of, I guess, sexist, like discriminatory thing that I've experienced, being like a female in our industry was only really in school, which is kind of sucks to say, but uh, in school, I felt like just because there was like so many, and maybe also, this is just my first year out of college. I don't have necessarily on-set in experience, so I don't know firsthand like what another female's experience is on set or anything like that. But just through research, through what I've heard and everything like that, it's hard to break that glass ceiling to become a female director.
Hmm.
And I think it sucks, but I think I like there's a lot of like uncertainties with like women in film and men in film and like the disconnect, but I think that especially in our times, like we've come a long way. If you go to the website Women in Film, that's awesome resource. There's a lot to learn about on there. um, but I don't think approaching this situation with like hatred for men and like ignorance and stuff like that is helpful. I think, just doing what you can do to promote yourself, promote what you think is creative and put it out in the world, like it's gonna come back to you 10 times over if you do it with like a pure heart, pure intentions. It doesn't matter if you're, a woman or a male or anything like that. That was like the most calm way I could put it, I
Yeah,
think.
and I definitely agree 100%. It's a lot. It's finding that sort of like like you said, whatever you put out is gonna come back to you. So that's I think a very good way of summing
Yeah,
that
like
up.
I didn't, and I feel like sometimes there's a misconception about the Woman of Mystery page because it is like it's female made, it's female collaborating. I shoot like the content is of females, I
Hmm.
work with female models, um, but in no way, shape, or form am I trying to, separate like the male from female. All I'm trying to do is create a platform that is only, not
Yeah,
only, but, is mimicking women's work. Because, there's a lot of most like film pages and stuff like that. A lot of the content on that is mostly, made by a man,
hmm,
or features work made for men.
right.
So it's just like another resource for like women empowerment and
Yeah,
as a motivation and stuff like that. I like one thing that like I love that like happened about like a week ago was like a younger girl messaged me and she was like, I love this page like so much, like I want to like direct movies and stuff like that. Like she was talking about like Stranger Things or something. She's like Stranger Things like inspired me, like, and I was like, what if this girl like one day ends up, and she's like, if I could help you with anything, like let me know. So, like helping younger girls like find their confidence, in it and give them a resource and help them out, maybe be like a mentor to them. That's like something that I would love.
exactly. Yeah, it's like that. I've mentioned this quote a few times, but Kevin Smith had this really great quote where it's much longer than this, but the main point was it costs nothing to encourage an artist, and you'll never understand the full benefit of a simple like pat on the back or like a few words of encouragement or like having an Instagram page that just focuses on one demographic and shows like, oh man, I could do that. I could one day if I work hard enough, I can have this sort of skill set and I can achieve what this person is achieving. And I think it's invaluable, and it's hard for me to really understand because I'm like pretty the like most I don't know the word like the most widely represented, I guess, demographic in the media. So it's hard for me to understand really the importance of like of someone being like oh like of having my demographic represented. But I can imagine that especially in that girl's case, it sounds like you were very influential and very important in that step along her journey.
For sure. And I just want to like give you credit, like where credit is due. Like what you said about like your demographic and everything, how you're like the most common demographic. That's what separates you from some people in your demographic is that you go out of your way to learn and be educated about the other demographics experience. Like my experience as a woman in film, like you reached out to me and wanted to learn about what I'm working on, and you wanted to help, help me out, and I'm very grateful for that. And knowing that there are people and men in the industry who are supportive of women in film, that's awesome, and I love to see it. So thank you.
Of course, yeah, no problem. It's just like I said, it's the unfortunate thing of like the loudest, angriest voices being the ones that are talked about the
Hmm.
most. So yeah, it's just again keep going back to that collaborative point. It's something that there needs to be more of. Uh, so, and I'm sure we could go on and on forever about the whole issue of representation and the politics of it all. But I think if anyone's interested in hearing more of that discussion, you should definitely check out the episode I did with Heather Hamilton. She had a lot of very interesting points to make about the whole issue and where we are today in our progress, I guess, of being
Hmm.
more understanding and being more open to different viewpoints. So definitely check out that episode if you guys haven't listened to that before. But I guess yeah. Any other things you wanted to say about Women in Mystery or any other projects you have going on before we move on?
I think I'm good. I just basically want to say thank you for everything.
Of
Thank you for
course.
letting me be um a star in your show.